favorite time in this church is an auditorium. We were here this Sunday that Robin preached for a call. We were here on Easter Sunday this last year. We snuck in as secret shoppers. Careful, I might get you. I brought 2 visual aids with me today, and I'll tell you about the secret of the bus and the secret of the bolt, and you'll help me do some research as we begin. Will you help me do that? You can lift your hand for me. You won't be with those people who say, there's a trick in this. No, honestly, there's no trick in this. I want to know, how many of you, I'll tell you, before I ask you to raise your hand, there's 3 categories of people in the room today, as far as I can discern it. There's people who have always been in church, sort of. They grew up in church. They came out through family. Maybe not, certainly not, probably not this church. But they were church people. There are people who are in here today because somebody invited them to church. Maybe it was a Sunday school contest when you were a kid and your neighbor invited you, or something like that, and you're in that category, category 2. The third category is the bin, in which we can catch everybody who found the church on the internet, and who heard about the church in general. You kind of were driving by, or in the very rare case, you walked by and said, sometime I'm going to go in that church, and you did. I know a story of at least one man who came to the Lord having done that at random, nothing other than the work of the Spirit of God in his life. Okay, got the 3 categories straight? Category 1, you grew up in church. Category 2, somebody invited you to church. Category 3, pretty much everything else. You might have, well, back in the day, you might have listened to, what was it called? The Hour of Decision, Billy Graham's radio program or something of that nature. Anything else, okay. Group number 1, you grew up in church. Hands up. Now, if you're sitting up in the first 5 rows, turn around and look. Turn around and look, okay. Right? Group number 2, people who were invited by somebody at church. See that? Turn, have a look. And group number 3, people who came because they found you on Google, etc. Hands up. Okay. There's 3 in that category. Who wins? Now I actually should have put Ron in charge here to do the math on this and the percentage and estimate. But I'm going to say to you that 75% of you at the minimum have always been church people. A few of you at random found the church, or in some nondescript way. And the others, you were invited to church. Billboards don't bring people to church. People bring people to church. Whether they bring them as family members, the best thing to do is to grow up in church. That's a wonderful thing. Or whether you invite somebody to church in some way. That's how people get here. We're going to talk about that this morning because it's really important for us to understand what it is to follow Jesus in a practical sense. Before I'm done, I hope you'll remember everything about this bus. And I might mention this. This is my teaser to get invited back, so I'll put that on forward. And yes, if you haven't read See You Next Week, it was published in 2012. I don't agree with everything in any book that I've ever read, and now I don't agree with anything that I ever read in that book, because there was something missing, and we're going to share it with you today. It is so important that people participate in the life of the Church of Jesus Christ, but seldom do we understand exactly how they got here. I don't know if you know this woman on the screen. That's a picture of her in her younger years, Margaret Mead. She was the world's most prominent cultural anthropologist who studied cultures around the world back in the 1960s and 1970s. She was famous in a day. She was in the beginning of the feminist movement. I think that it's traceable and arguable, all this sexual ambiguity that's going on in these things that boggle our minds today started with Margaret Mead. But she said, this thing that's on the screen, and I think you should never doubt this, that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Are there a small group of committed citizens in Oxford Baptist Church ready to not just change Woodstock, 40,000-ish people, who's counting? Oxford County, 100,000-ish people, again, who's counting? Ontario, 13 million people. Canada, nearly 40 million people. Our world, over 7 billion people. When I started in ministry, that was 3 billion people. A small group of committed citizens can change the world. I've come to understand that this particular professor, I took a lesson from, a course, a summer course, probably was 1971, I'm not sure. He's long since with the Lord. He said this, and this really sticks to me. Yeah. The world is far more ready to receive the gospel than Christians are today. And by the time we get done today, I want you to have the simplest possible understanding of what it is to make a real difference. I'm only hoping for a small group of you to change Woodstock, to change Oxford County, to change Ontario, to change Canada, to change the world. There are 10 follow me's in the New Testament. And we're going to go one slide at a time here. Why do you already know? Follow me and I will make you fishers. Yes, I mean, you grew up with that. I grew up with that. I was wrong. I was really wrong. But we'll get to that. There are other follow me's, and they're up on the screen. If we just go through to number 10 there, you will see that there is a variety of them, and I put them together with a follow in this, follow in that. And I don't intend for you to remember all of those nor deal with them, but I do want to deal with the first one. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of people. Man is really a generic term in the New Testament, not describing males, but people. In the New International Version, which I prefer to use, it says, follow me and I will send you out to fish for people. And I agree with that, but that's not what it says. It says, I will manufacture you. I will make you. It's what the word is in the original language. Follow me and I will manufacture you. Now you have to understand that this was spoken to 2 fishermen. 4 and probably 5 of the original 12 disciples were people who fished. Wendy and I live near the banks of the Credit River, and as we drove out this morning, I saw a guy down there with apparently his son sitting in a lawn chair fishing. It didn't really matter whether he caught fish or not. That's sport fishing. This isn't talking about sport fishing. These guys were commercial fishermen. And every day in commercial fishing is not a good day. That's true today. It was true in that day. Do you remember the time when Jesus was with them and they said, Lord, we fished all night and we've caught nothing. Sometimes fishing is discouraging. But fishing is essential. Because you don't fish, you don't eat. I talked with a friend this past week who's just taken over a church in a part of Mississauga. Church, last time I visited there were probably 20 people there. And he said, Gary, what do I do? The 20 people had a median age of about 75. An auditorium, about this size but long and narrow, high vaulted ceiling, really looks quite nice from the outside. They were there and they were trying to do certain things. They were really cool. Literally, I'm not joking you. We had 5 people on the platform with microphones to sing to lead the other 50. And they were all old. And they were singing to accompaniment tracks because they didn't have anybody to play the instruments. But they were really trying to be cool and contemporary because they heard that if you have people up here singing, that'll make a difference to the church. So my friend Dio said, what are we going to do? And he said that this is an old area of town and there's no young people. To which I said, I know that's not true. I hadn't looked it up. But here's a little secret if you want to look it up. Some of you astute people, you'll figure this out. If you go to realtor.ca, you can figure out who lives in your neighborhood. Find a house that's for sale in your neighborhood. First of all, they'll find what they're asking. They'll say, buy that much money. And you'll find out what the house is like. So that's kind of fun. You find a dot on the map. But if you look on the tab that says demographics, it'll tell you who lives in the 500 homes around your neighborhood. Or actually in your fishing pond. In that particular fishing pond, I didn't write the numbers down, and I don't know them exactly, but there were 400 and some odd people. The average income blew me away. It was $195,000 per household per year. Of course, that's where Wendy and I live. But he said there's no children there. There were approximately 100 children in those homes. Now, some of them were older, younger adult children. But he's saying he drank the Kool-Aid that they'd given him. There's all old people in this neighborhood. Well, they weren't all old people. And whatever it is you think about your world is probably not exactly accurate. And it's really important that you understand how to fish. Now, what did Jesus do when he started out with the whole thing? He said, follow me, and I'll make you, or I'll send you out to fish. It's important to know that Jesus didn't start with a big crowd. He didn't start with the Franklin Graham crusade. He started by, sometime into his ministry, estimates vary as to how long that would be, the people that he saw around, he selected 12 people. They called 12 people. You can read the passage for yourself. It's on the screen. You can do 2 things at once. I know you can. He called 12 people to be with him, that he might send them out to preach, and that they might heal people, do good in their world. Just 12. Never doubt that a small group of committed citizens would change the world. That's the group that made the greatest change in the whole world. And who were they? And the intelligentsia? No, they were a ragtag bunch of people who were committed to following Jesus and understood from the get-go that the first lesson of discipleship was learn to fish. If you get a discipleship program and you got 13 lessons, they'll put the fishing part in lesson 13. That's not what it was intended to do. At the end of Jesus' ministry, he sent them out and he gave them what we call the Great Commission. He told them to go. Actually, it really says, in your going, make disciples. Now, we think of discipleship as this kind of an elite system where we have a program and we go through it. No. Discipleship is first, it's only, word only used 4 times in the New Testament. It refers to taking someone who's not a disciple or a follower and turning them into a follower. Whose responsibility is that? It was the 11's responsibility. How far were they supposed to go? Impossible. Who was the guy that was the doubter? Thomas. You think of him like this. Do you know what Thomas did? He took that commission seriously, and there's strong historical evidence which boggles my mind that he moved all the way from the Holy Land to the shores of India, taking the gospel across Iraq, Afghanistan, all that desert area. And he did what Jesus asked him to do. There are 3 things that are contained in that passage that tell you what you do, and I know that Robin refers to this. Believe, next screen please. Believe, baptize, belong. That's what happened in the New Testament times. And people in our society have difficulty understanding the significance of baptism because there's a confusion on the word. The word simply means dip in water or immerse. That's what it means. And that's something that follows believing. You make a disciple. First thing you do is you baptize them. I would submit to you, if you don't have power in your life, and you call yourself a Christian, you really truly believe in the Lord, you believe you're a Christian, and you've not been immersed as a demonstration of your loyalty to Jesus, and it's an outward expression of the inward change, your batteries are running very, very low. And I will tell you that with a follow-up, he says, teaching them to obey. It's not teaching them to think. It's teaching them to do. Many of you here are parents. Do you want your kids to think about cleaning their room? Do you want to listen to all their excuses? But Mom, no. You don't want any histrionics. You don't want drama. You want action. And sometimes it takes a little coercion to get that action, right? Teaching to observe or to obey everything they command. And the first commandment was, fall and fish. Now, our job as leaders in churches is to get you to understand and do what Jesus wants you to do. I could do handstands on the platform if I could, but it won't make a difference. I can yell and scream, I can march up and down, I can tell jokes, I can do all kinds of things, but if you don't decide that you're going to obey what the Word of God clearly teaches, I'm lost. I'm stuck. There's a famous megachurch pastor who wrote a book. Maybe you've read the book, some of you, it's a good book, Crazy Love. Anybody read Crazy Love? It should be in your library. It's not in your library, it should be. It's a good book. It's like my books. You know, it's like perfume. You can smell it, just don't drink it all. Francis Chan left his church, I think it was 2013. And he never really explained why, except he said there was a restlessness and he believed that God was moving him on. He left and he moved to San Francisco and he started a series of house churches. But this last week, apparently to the Facebook employees of all people, he actually divulged why he left. He said, I found that while he had started the church in his own living room, he had found that he had 5,000 people coming on Sunday, all of whom had been gifted by God, had been given responsibility, and they came to watch him use his gift. He just got sick and tired of 5,000 people sitting and not using their gift. And he listened to him. It was his gift. Now, there's nothing he could do about it. There's nothing, Robin Pfeiffer, my very good friend, right? If you don't like him, I have nothing to do with me, but I recommend him to your church. I did. I thought, as I talked to the man that I talked to on the search committee at the time, I thought this is really a hand-in-glove situation. And as I sit here and watch you sing and respond to it, I'm thinking, yeah, this is good. And we're just getting started. But if you don't learn to fish, you'll kill that man. He's not as healthy as he needs to be. And he's working on it. And it's hard. And he wants so much for Oxford Baptist Church to be a signature church because the Lord wants it, not a feather in his cap. But he knows, he sees your incredible potential here. And I know that the facility is, well, today it was not illustrating that it's too small. You can't put all the crowd in it. You probably need to replace this, and that probably means relocation. That's your choice. I know Robin well. I know that he will not take you anywhere that you don't decide to go. Now, he's a strong, visionary leader. But he and I, when we chat, as we do perhaps once every 2 weeks or even once a week, we talk about you. And we talk about areas of responsiveness and areas where he wishes there was more responsiveness. And he's trying to be the shepherd to lead. He can't take you. He doesn't have any interest in forcing you to go where you don't want to go or where God doesn't lead you. You have to be band together as one church. Starting with a small group of you, moving forward. Now I want to go back to Margaret Mead. What did she say? She said, never doubt, that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. to me, it's the only thing that ever has. And let's go back to Dr. Peters. The world is far more ready to follow Christ. That's it. Far more ready to receive the gospel than we are to hand it out. I'm not sure that you know that, or that you believe that, but it is very, very true. Now, just a little prep before we get to my bus. Let's move on. When Jesus said, "Come and follow me, and I'll make you," who do you mean? You, and you. He never mentioned the gift of evangelism. There may well be a gift of evangelism, only mentioned once in the Old Testament as evangelists. And some have argued that 10% of the people have a special ability given by God. But no, fishing is an every person responsibility. The sad part is that if you don't fish, you are missing out on so much in life. You really are. Fishing doesn't necessarily mean that you get the fish in the boat. I will guarantee you won't get them in the boat every time. But I will also guarantee you that if you fish enough, collectively, you will see an incredible change in the life of your community and in your church. Now, some of you get nervous, maybe even mad, maybe a little sad, perhaps a little scared when somebody says that because you don't know what to do. You really have no idea of what to do. I wish I had the clicker so that I could control this. It is what it is. You want something that's simple. Perhaps you've gone to an evangelism seminar. Or perhaps you've learned a way of presenting the gospel. It looks really good. I personally like to use the bridge illustration. I'm familiar with it. But it's hard to remember if you haven't done it over and over again. And so you're scared to share the gospel with people. You want something that's simple enough. You want something that is doable, something that you can do. Right? Okay? And you want something that's effective. And in case you're worried about it, you also want something that's affordable. It's affordable, it's simple. What I'm going to teach you in the next few minutes can change your life, give you the significance. You don't just want success in life, you want significance. You don't want to leave this world without all your music being played. Some of us old-timers will remember the hymn, "Must I Go in Empty-Handed?" Some of you knew that, you sang that years ago. And many of you, probably most of you, have never had the joy and the satisfaction of seeing somebody come to Christ and grow and respond to Him. A quick story. Well, I can't tell it quickly, but I'll try. I was interim pastor on a temporary basis in Timmins for a couple of years, kind of like Don Howard was here on Fairfields. And we ran a weekly food bank every Friday. It was a meal we served to people. And being in Northern Ontario, about half the crowd was Aboriginal, but the other half were kind of down on people. And I used to stand at the back of the line and I'd get my rice and salad or whatever was there for the day. And I'd walk around the tables. I'd say, "Hey, how you doing?" So they wouldn't talk. The previous pastor wanted nothing to do with these people. I said, "Let's fix that." We didn't move these people from downstairs where the meal was served, upstairs where the auditorium was. I was told just last week before last that there are now a dozen regular people up there. And it started with me saying, "I'll talk to these people." But one of these guys was different. And I couldn't figure Bob out, but I went to Bob after 3 or 4 weeks and I said, "Bob, I mean no disrespect to anybody else in the room, but you're not the same as everybody here. What gives? What's the story?" He said, "What do you mean, Gary?" I said, "Come on, Bob, you got a story." He said, "I used to be an alderman in Timmins." I said, "Really? What happened?" He said, "I got involved in pharmaceuticals." and his underling turned him in, and he went to prison. He lost everything. He had been the juvenile home director in town. He was a man about town. And he kept coming to the food bank. He had a drug addict son that lived with him. I took on Bob as a project. He wasn't getting it at all. And, I was coming down near the end of my time there, and I was so burdened for Bob. And I said, Bob, why don't you just take a chance and come to church sometime. And I don't care if you say, I don't believe in any of this. I don't care if you sit through the whole time with crossed arms. I'd just like you to see what's going on. He said, well, Gary, I remember I came to this food bank, and there's something different here. There were other food banks in town. He said one day at the end, he saw that there was some food left over, and they had little styrofoam containers they always put together so people could take it home. He went up, and he was very gracious. He said, may I have something? Yes, you may. And he got his thing and turned around. He said, I was about 4 feet away from the table, and the server, I don't know who it was, said, Bob, don't you want some for your son? And he turned around and he said, how do you know I've got a son? So you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. He said, why do you people do this? She said, because we care. And he kept coming back to the place where care was. Well, I'd work him over. He didn't have a car. He didn't have anything. I took him to see all of the Christian movies when they came through. And he hadn't been in the theater forever. I took him to the coffee shop in town that he couldn't afford. I forget the name of it, but it was kind of a high-end Starbucks kind of a thing. And I took him for lunch out in a part of town. He said, oh, I hadn't seen this part of town. When I was an alderman, blah, 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 and all these stories. It was all the truth. Took him out to this very fancy place for lunch. And it's coming down to the end. We're leaving town. So I got to take one more shot at him. I took him back to that coffee shop. And I gave him the very best, flat-out, head-on, John 3:16 message I could muster. I mean, I was taking notes on myself. It was really good. And at the end, you can tell I get emotional. I looked him in the eye and I said, Bob, there's a sense in which it doesn't matter to me whether you believe what I believe. But do you believe that I believe what I believe? And he said, Gary, I've been looking in your eyes the whole time. A guy could evaluate drug pushers. Okay? He developed a skill in that. Never took drugs. The guys who make the money, they're this one. They don't take the drugs. I've been looking in your eyes, and yes, you believe that. I said, Bob, I'm going to be gone in a couple of weeks. Why don't you just give these people a chance? Well, it's really hard for me. Roll the tape forward. We're gone. I gave him a Bible, did everything that I could do. I said, well, you can do whatever you're going to do. He got sick 3 weeks before he died. I'm told by multiple sources that he gave his heart to Christ. He was in line for the next. He had one interview to go to Montreal to work with kind of the mafia and a higher level. It was the highest kind of thing, from the lowest to the highest, from the highest to the lowest, to the highest of eternity. And I'm going to meet Bob in heaven. You never know whether the person's down and out like Bob Laporte, or whether they're up and out, whatever. He, over time, came to the Lord. And all I did was what I'm going to teach you right now. Are you ready for this? First thing you have to understand is what the New Testament understands about what we need. That was just, come on, roll it. Roll it. I told you I'd do this. Roll it. Now I'm lost. Let's try one more. There. No, back. Don't see that. That was the answer. This is the question. I went through the New Testament, came up with 400 Bible verses in the New Testament that have a direct command. You know, if the Bible says don't lie to each other, what does that mean? It's not hard, right? There were direct commands like that from the New Testament. 400 verses, and Wendy and I worked on this together, and I chopped them up into 3 categories, and some of them could go either way, but they were there in these 3 categories. How many of those 400 commands represented me and my relationship with God, the spiritual side of life? Now, there's a sense in which everything's spiritual, for sure. But me and my relationship with God, how many of those verses are that? What percentage? What percentage of those verses have to do with me, myself, and I, how I live within myself? Get rid of all rage. And how much has to do with my relationships with other people? What percentages would you put on those things? Because if you understand the percentages or the relative emphasis on those things, you understand what ought to be the emphasis in your life. Make sense? You have a biblical balance then. What would you guess? Think they're all equal? That's the safe guess. Many people say we come to church to praise the Lord. And I'm certainly not saying that we don't come to church to praise the Lord and get encouragement. But the New Testament doesn't emphasize that. Here's how it breaks down. You can go and check my work, and you can check it if you want. Me and God is not a big deal in the New Testament. Me and myself is a big deal, but me and the others is the biggest deal. Now we can further go on to break that down into my relationship with my family, my church people, and my unchurched people. And people think that the Bible is a book about family. I'll tell you, only about 4% of that. 53% has to do with family stuff. It's all important. But it isn't family first in the New Testament. The preponderance, the biggest chunk, is about me and my relationships with other believers. And those are the things that are really important in life. And they're simple things. Do unto others. How are you supposed to do it? As you would have them do to you. It's the golden rule. It doesn't work if you don't realize you're it. Right? It's not about, well, I think that so-and-so should have it up. I'll tell you a story from this week, and this is, I won't tell you the church, but a large church my sister and brother-in-law were members of for about 25 years. I took the funeral because she said, none of the pastors know us. I wouldn't want the pastor to know it's a very large church. Wouldn't want the pastor to know anybody. But there was nobody in the church that demonstrated any care for this 83-year-old couple. Mind-boggling. When the New Testament says church is not about how many LED lights you've got, it's about relationships. And they served and gave and did all kinds of things in that church. And almost nobody was there at the funeral from that church. You search them on the internet. If I told you where, you'd say, oh yeah, we want to be like that when you grow up. Not. You don't. You want to be a church that has strong relationships to others. Greet. 4 times in the New Testament it says, greet one another. How are we supposed to do that? With a holy kiss. I'll get to the holy kiss part in a moment. I was talking with a very good friend of mine for 30 years last week at his church, and we were talking about the greeting in the church. That's the nature of part of what's in the See You Next Week book. I'm going to enhance that in a few minutes for you. Very simple. It won't take long. And nobody talked to us in this church. Now, it's not a bad church. Nobody talked to us. Except the greeter on the way in, by the person I call the Walmart greeter. It was a good service. They were good people. It's a young, vibrant church. Nobody talked to us. And he didn't believe me. Can I tell you a secret? When we came here on Easter, secret shopper, I had a spy pen in my pocket. And I took a video from the car we parked right away until we got in, through the service, until we got out. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I got a very nice lady at the door downstairs. Rita's had principal. I had one daughter through a bunch of teenagers, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's always good to have teenagers. We got upstairs, and there was a tall man over on this side. It was a good morning. It was very pleasant. And there was another lady right in the middle, and she said, good morning, it's nice to see you today. We came in, and we came down that aisle, and people were sitting all down the end of the aisle, and what am I going to do? I just had an ear replaced, if you can't hear. We finally somebody got up and moved out, and we sat in the middle of the row. And Gwen saw us and came and talked to us. Robin saw us and came and talked to us. How many of the rest of you talked to us? Zero. We hung around the end of the service, and we made it out from the pew to the parking lot. And how many people said, good morning, I don't believe we've met? You got a trick question now, right? You already know. How did we do it? Now, you're friendly. You're good people. I'm not trying to beat up on you for that, but you didn't even notice two senior citizens walking in who've never been here before. You didn't even notice. And that's typical in church. You're not exceptional. It's the way it is. You didn't greet us. But the Bible commands you to greet one another with a holy kiss. There's holiness. That's sanctification. That's different than a greeting in Walmart that's in the believers. And the kiss, well, it's not culturally what we do here. We do that if we were in Quebec. But we don't do that here. That speaks of personal intimacy. It doesn't mean, hi, how are you? Who's next? It means having a conversation. And it's easy to start a conversation with somebody you don't know. Do you know how you start a conversation with somebody you don't know? You say, I don't think I know you. Can you handle that? Well, maybe they've been here forever. Yeah, maybe they have. You know what you don't say? So are you new here? Any of you got caught with that one? That'll kill you. There's a no win on that. Are you new here? Sometimes they'll say, yes, this is my first Sunday. You get lucky if you get that, but usually they say, no, actually I've been a deacon in this church for 32 years. It's true. That's what happens. Because we can't all know each other in a big church, and this is a very big church. You can't all know each other, but we can all greet each other. You can show hospitality. The Bible says this on several occasions. Show hospitality to one another. That means invite people home. I don't care if you got a mud hut and you have to sweep the floor. Offer what you've got as you can. Now, some can't because of their situation, their health concerns, and so on. And sometimes a divided marriage, you've got all kinds of sorts of things. But collectively, show hospitality. Suppose Stephen's here. No, I don't want you to stand. I want to tell you what Gordon Stevens taught me. There was a guy who taught me. I was a young pastor at the time. He taught me that there were 118 uses of the word one another in the New Testament. And I remember him saying, I've studied them all. And he had. And figured out that this reciprocal relationship represented in one Greek word, which I laid on, doesn't matter, but it's one another, is very important. There are actually 59 verses that talk about the one anothering of each other in the church. And I had that memory of that conversation with Gord from a long time ago, where he taught me that. I think Gord ought to be the patron saint. I'll have his picture up on the wall here. Those things matter, and I took that as a bit of a study to figure out what to make a difference with. Have you been dying to get to know about my bus yet? If you get on this bus, which came from Woodstock, New York. Well, not literally. It came from Bethel, New York, where the Woodstock Rock Festival happened way back in 1969, and some of you know about that famous thing. They got 400,000 people there. It's in the middle of nowhere. It was mind-boggling. They had to move it from Woodstock to Bethel, and they had a gift shop, and Wendy thought I was absolutely crazy when I said, I got to have that bus. I got to have that bus. Why? Because I think this is an illustration of the church. This is not a transit bus. The church is not a transit bus. The church is a place where people find love and peace. If you don't greet them the first time, they may not be back the second time. The characteristic of what happens inside is so completely compelling to dropouts who maybe dropped out of church, and most people in our society have never been to church to speak of. Certainly not a church where the gospel is preached. Okay, there's 4 wheels on the bus. I want to talk about the back wheels. They're very important. We don't have that time today. I want to talk about the front wheels. And I'm going to give it to you in a bunch of numbers, if I can. The front right wheel. That one. Okay. Here we get on. That's a very, very important thing. And I want you to remember the number 15. Can you remember that? I'm going to give you a series of numbers. Can you remember 15? You can't. It might get harder. 15 is the number of minutes before the service starts. It's important for you to be here. It's what I call the red zone. Be here 15 minutes early. Why? So you can sit in the seat and sit and sour? No! So that you can sit in the seat and chat with somebody, demonstrate the beginning of a relationship with somebody maybe that you don't know, maybe a few words of encouragement to somebody. If you're not here, then you can't do that. If you come in while the singing's going on, you can't do that. If you come here right in the summertime, 10 o'clock on the dot, you can't do that. You've got to be here early. Now really, following Jesus is so hard that you can't get up 15 minutes earlier. And women, close your ears, because I know what I'm going to add you afterwards. But man, you should be ashamed of yourself for sleeping in. You're supposed to be the head of the house. And you say spiritual things are more important. And I've watched many families that have fallen apart over the years, and with many of them, it's because in the secrecy of their own home, the father says, I deserve to sleep in. Yeah, like breakfast in bed every Sunday, man? Come on. You're following Jesus. This is commercial fishing. This is tough work. Get up early. Do whatever's necessary to make things happen. When we were kids and we used to polish our shoes every Saturday night, we did it on Saturday nights so we'd be ready for Sunday morning. Men, take the initiative. Get to bed early. You don't need to play games to the middle of the night, guys. You really don't. Get to bed early. Get up early on Sunday and make it the best day of the week. I was talking to a teenager in a church where her father was an elder, and this 13-year-old, she came in late. I said, Hannah, who was responsible? It was an elder of the church. Family of 4 came and sat down 11 minutes after 7 minutes after the church service started. I take note of these things. So what happened, Hannah? She said, it was not fair. Why? Well, I said, Hannah, I really appreciate that you're accepting responsibility. But your parents bear a lot of responsibility in this. Well, yeah, my mom and dad slept in as well. He said, okay, Hannah, this is what you do next week. You get up a half an hour earlier. You put on, some Chris Tomlin tunes or something. And you crank it to 11. And get them in bed. You can at least show some leadership if your parents aren't going to show. An elder in a big church. And it's not that unusual. 15 minutes. Can you handle that? Can you handle that? Now I want you to know about the next number, which is 18. The number 18 has to do with the number of people. This is really simple. Yesterday at the funeral, I had a guy that I hadn't seen for 40 years at least come to me and say, oh, I remember you when you were the little boy who sat with his parents in the 3rd row and you had your head on your mother's lap during the sermon. No, you were wrong. It was the 4th row. He was exactly right. He knew where I was. Now, some of us sit in the same place every Sunday. And I don't think that's bad. I think that's not so good if you're leaders, but I don't think that's bad. But I want you to take ownership of 18 chairs. You get lucky in the summer if they're empty. You and your spouse or whoever's with you, and you might be single, but you still got one extra to work with there. 2 chairs. 2 chairs beside you this way. 2 chairs beside you that way. 6 chairs in front of you and 6 chairs behind you. Take ownership of those chairs as your parish. If there's somebody new that sits in one of those chairs, because everybody sits in the same place typically, I'm not beating you up for that, then somebody new comes in, then it's really easy to say, good morning, I don't believe we've met. And they might come in a little late, and the one thing that's happened, as soon as the service is over, they're going to hit the road, so as soon as somebody says amen, you've got to reach over and tap them on the shoulder. They're not going to come to you and say, would you please talk to me? Tap them on the shoulder and start a conversation. If they don't want to converse, you did your job. But if somebody sits in one of those 18 chairs and they're not there on a Sunday, notice it. Give them a phone call. Say, I missed you this morning. Pay some attention to those people. 15 minutes, 18 chairs. Got that? How hard can that be? Okay, now I'm going to do the really, really easy part. This is the evangelism program. Once you get that all down, you need to fill those chairs. And this is how you're going to do it with 9 words. 9 words. Can you handle this? This is a 9-word sentence, and I can tell you a church that grew just about 50% because they took these 9 words seriously. And it's specifically these 9 words. I would like to invite you to my church. Now you might put a preamble and say, you know, George, I should have got around to this earlier, but it occurs to me that I would like to invite you to my church. Don't say, will you come to church with me? That gets a yes or no answer. When you say, I would like to invite you to my church, you haven't actually done the invitation. You've opened a conversation. They don't just jump in the boat. You've opened a conversation. And I can tell you for sure, for absolute sure, that some people will say, really, what church is that? Oh, it's Oxford Baptist Church. And the next thing they're likely to say is, what's that like? Do you know what you tell them? Nothing! It's kind of like, any cricket fans here? No? Good. Good group. If I said I'd like to invite you to a cricket match, and you said, cricket, really? What's that like? And I took the next 4 hours describing cricket for you, would you be any wiser? No, you wouldn't. Step number 2, can you handle this? You got the 9 down. The next one is 3. 3 words. Come and see. Say, I don't think so. Just thought I should ask. End of subject. I know that if you say that twice a week, using not only the being friendly on the inside, but putting people on the inside, this is the driver's side. About 1 in 20 of those people will respond immediately to you and say, sure. What time's it start? You say, 10 o'clock, I'll pick you up about 20 to 10. So they're 5 minutes away, right? We got the 15 thing happening. And then when they come in with an advocate. And you say, hey, Mary, I'd like to introduce you to Sally. You say, oh, hi, Sally. Yeah, we were talking about this beach hut thing. I don't know what, we were looking for workers. Don't you dare! Pay attention to Sally. Build a relationship with her. Do whatever you can do. And that will radically change your church. Are you up to that? Now, here's the last thing. These are 2 words, 10. If it is to be, it is up to me. Okay? Accept personal responsibility. I can tell you for sure that most people in the room today won't, because that's just the nature of humans. They won't now, but they will later when they see the joy in your face and you brought somebody to the Lord and they take courage and something else happens. There's a lot more. When you read the book Rabbi sometime, there's lots more about the guts behind this. It radically changes the life of the church. less than 25% of you came here because somebody invited you. If I did ask you the tougher question, how many people have you said, I would like to invite you to my church to? How would you respond? Probably not many. They're not down on church like they used to be back in the day. They might give it a try. This is a pretty good, this is a moving place. You people are really nice. You're fun to be with. You actually laugh. And it's a wonderful thing that you have fun together. And if they come once, your job is to get them to come twice. And if they come 3 times, chances are they're a lifer. And if they're a lifer, over time, they will give their heart to Jesus, and there will be joy in your personal camp, not just in the collective camp. Okay, is that simple enough? 15, you're late if you're not 15 minutes early. Got it? That's my, if I'm pastor, I'd be beating up on you personally on that. 18, you own 18 chairs. Sit in the middle, don't block the people in the end from getting in. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. You don't like to crawl over people, don't make people crawl over you. Sit in the middle, own your 18 chairs wherever it is. And if you happen to have some overlap, then it'd be terrible if you had 2 friends the first time you came, right? You have a wonderful change in the life of the church. Okay, 15, 18. What's the next one? 9 words. I would like to invite you to my church. It's not an invitation, it's a conversation opener. Take it where it goes. And then for the 1 in 10, 1 in 20 who shows some interest and they ask you about the church, you say, yeah, it's over on Boundary Street, but the best thing to do is just say, come and see it, pick you up next Sunday morning, 9:30, what do you think? Some will say yes, and some will say no. But collectively, every Sunday, you'd have a half a dozen new people. And if you had a half a dozen new people, many of them would stay, and all those that stay over time, because the gospel is preached, they would find it. And you would have the joy and the satisfaction that you remember the bus? The back 2 wheels have to do with reaching everybody. The front 2 wheels have to do with you being welcoming and putting new people into that welcome. I just pray do that in an ever-increasing way. You'll end up with 2 services full in the fall. Look, you can go to 3 services, you can go to 4 services, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of our church people don't know that church was supposed to happen at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. They're quite happy to cut the grass Sunday morning and come at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon or at some other time. But don't make Robin preach all those services. But hey, I've still got 1 sermon left for me. It's the bowl, but we'll get to that later. Let's pray together. Lord, I pray for Oxford Baptist Church that you would touch these dear folks who love you dearly. So many who have grown up in church all their life and have never experienced the joy of bringing someone to the Savior. I pray that you would give them the courage to follow through on their commission, to be a follower, a fisher.